from it, now we can be friends, and now we can really enjoy each other, and we can enjoy the things, that brought us together. And, again, that's the tragedy of the wrestling business. There are people that you really love and that you genuinely care about and that you genuinely like, but it's what the business does to you, and it's the reason why, when I did become born again and when I did become a Christian and when I did hand my life over to God, it is the reason why I had to get out of the wrestling business, because, as a Christian, I just could no longer deal with that negativity. And, like I said, it's just amazing to me now, being away from it and separating it from myself, how now I really get the opportunity to be friends with and enjoy these people who I genuinely cared about.
Jim Ross.
I just finished, working. I just finished the book, and the book is going to be like my website. It's going to be called Forgiven, and it's a very, very interesting book because what I did was I took a manuscript that I wrote 2 years ago. I more or less kept the manuscript intact, and I commented on myself. Now that I'm a Christian, I commented on myself and my actions of 2 years ago.
Wow.
And in the book, the one person that I owe the greatest apology to of any individual in my life is Jim Ross. And I was horrible to Jim Ross, and I'm ashamed of the way I treated Jim Ross. I'm ashamed of the things I did. I'm ashamed of the disrespect I showed. I'm embarrassed for the kind of person I was when it came to Jim Ross. And in my book, I've made that clear, and part of my book was a public apology to Jim Ross because I was so ignorant, and I was so childish, and I was so immature, and I was horrible to the man. Absolutely horrible. I didn't understand his position. I didn't take a second to put myself in his shoes. I'm embarrassed. And like I said, that was very important for me in the book to be able to tell the entire world that I apologize to this man. He did not deserve anything that I put him through on a personal level, and I would love to be able to have the opportunity to be able to see Jim Ross again and tell Jim Ross that to his face. Because, the Vince Russo who existed 5 years ago is not the same Vince Russo today. And I'm able to look back now and look at all the mistakes and look at all the people I've hurt and look at all the things I shouldn't have done. And Jim Ross is the person I owe the biggest apology to.
And just regarding the book, when might it be out for...
Well, right now, I'll be honest with you. I'll be totally honest with you. I have a publisher right now. I have a contract in my hand right now, but what I'm wrestling with right now is I want to make sure that the book not only goes in mainstream bookstores, I want the book to go in Christian bookstores. I mean, that's really where I want it to go, because it's very important for people to see, what God did in my life. Because if they can see what God did in a life like this, then there's hope for anybody. So, right now, like I said, I have a contract in hand. I have a publisher. I'm just kind of holding off to see if, a Christian publisher comes along, because, like I said, I just want to make sure that the book gets in Christian bookstores. But the way it looks now, from the book, going through the editing and going through the changes and whatnot, we're probably looking at it coming out either the spring or definitely by the summer.
Excellent. Two names I just want to hit you with, the last two, and this is then we'll let you go. We're sorry we went so long. Is Ric Flair.
Again, I heard about the comments in his book. I'm real sorry about the way Ric Flair feels about me, but as a Christian now, I can sit here and say I, without a doubt, treated Ric Flair with the utmost respect, because Ric Flair was a legend, and the opportunity that I got to work with Ric Flair, I was blessed to have, and I knew that when it happened. And I mean, again, whatever he feels about me, whatever he thinks, I apologize. I know in my heart that I treated Ric Flair with the utmost respect. I know I did, and I know it was an honor and it was a privilege for me to work with Ric Flair. And, you know, I'm sorry he may feel differently about me, and if I did anything to offend him, I greatly, greatly apologize. But, I mean, it was an honor for me to be able to have that time to work with him.
And the final name, I'm sure you can predict it, Vince McMahon.
Man, that's just really, really, really tough for me, because I was a lot closer to Vince than people really understand. I mean, a lot closer to him. And I cared tremendously for Vince and his entire family. I mean, I cared for them from the bottom of my heart. And I still do. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I told you that I didn't. I'd be lying to you if I told you that sometimes there's a part of me that feels like there's some kind of unfinished business there. And I'm not talking about going back and writing their TV. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about from a personal side. I just feel like there is some kind of unfinished business there. I feel like there is some kind of a void there, and something is sitting there that just isn't right with me. And again, I don't know if that's God's work. I don't know what that is, but I've always felt this sense of something being unfinished. And, you know, I hope in the future that somehow, some way, you know, I will be able to put a period at the end of that sentence. But, you know, right now, for whatever reason, and a reason that I can't explain, I don't feel like I can do that. But, you know, I can't say anything negative about Vince. I can't, because I don't feel anything negative towards him. But, you know, again, working that closely with somebody at the time, yeah, it was love-hate at the time. But, you know, now, you know, not being around him, you know, for the last however many years it's been, I miss him, you know, more than, you know, I like not being around him. So, you know, again, you know, who knows? I mean, who knows why things happened the way they did? But who knows? I mean, that to me is still a big question mark.
And of course, on your website now, people can read a column from Terry Taylor.
Right.
VinceRussoForgiven.com. Can we expect to see maybe anything from anybody else in the wrestling?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, and that's what that's there for. I love Terry, boy. I mean, he's turned out to be one of my greatest friends in the wrestling business. You know, if not my best friend in the wrestling business. And you know, Terry and I have so much in common because he's been saved, and in my early stages, I mean, he was there for me, and he tutored me, and he was a mentor to me, and that's exactly what that's for. I mean, I do want to bring other people that have become Christians on there. I mean, you know, the first name that comes to mind is, you know, AJ Styles, you know, who, you know, I had the privilege of, you know, just a couple of weeks ago going to church with AJ and his wife, and I mean, boy, you talk about a guy, you know, that's a Christian and inside out, and, you know, lives his entire life to do the right thing. I loved that kid like he was my own kid, and I can't say enough good things about AJ, but, yeah, I mean, I hope one day I can get, you know, Sting to come on there and do something, and I've not had the opportunity to sit down and spend time with Ted DiBiase, which I want to, and I look forward to doing. I mean, it's ironic. I worked with Ted a lot, and we spent a lot of time together, but you know, now, you know, on the level that we're at, you know, I can't wait for the opportunity to see him and just be able to spend some time with him. But, you know, that's what that site's for, you know, the wrestling family, and, you know, those of us who are in the same boat and went through the trials and tribulations that we went through in the wrestling business, and then, you know, really just came to the conclusion that it's not about us, and it's not about me. It's a much bigger picture than that, and, you know, it's about God, and it's all about Him. And, you know, like I said, I think there's gonna come to a point in the lives of many of these guys where they're going to come to the end of their life, and they're going to achieve the accolades and the money and the goals and the spotlight and everything they ever dreamed of. But at the end of the day, they're going to feel empty, and they're going to feel a void, and they're going to realize that something is missing from their life, and that something that is missing is Jesus.